Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fan Stevie. It's time to look ahead to Thursday's clash in the Europa League at Celtic Park against AC Milan. I was joined tonight by Stefano, or Stevie, from the MilanWeeklyPOD on YouTube to look ahead to the game on Thursday. But before we get started tonight, I have to tell you about our sponsors, OneFootball. The OneFootball app has everything you could ever need in a football app: lineup notifications, goal alerts from any league in the world, scores, league tables from just about any league in the world. You name a league and it'll be on the app. You can get all the Celtic related news as soon as it breaks because you can choose Celtic as your favourite team, and you can keep up to date with all the Scottish Premiership stats, league tables, top goal scorers, top assist makers, you name it, you'll find it there on the app. And the best bit is it's absolutely free. You can download it by clicking the link in the description of this video. Getting involved, help support the channel, and let me know what you think of that app. Stevie, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight on Celtic Fans TV. Looking ahead to Thursday's game, how is it viewed in terms of a Milan perspective coming to Glasgow? You guys are in good form, yeah?
Yeah, so Paul, I want to first thank you and all the Celtic fans for letting me on Celtic TV. Guys, I know I'm not a top model there, but Paul gave me the ability to be on the show, so to talk about Milan, right? So forgive me for my rustic look there. It's us Canadians with the winter. We need to dress warmly all the time, even inside the house there. So about the game on...
we know about
the game. Yeah, you guys know that too. So we're on the same page when it comes to weather. Guys, it's exciting, right? Like for us here in Canada, for the people who don't know, in Scotland, we grew up, especially, I'm going to age myself a bit, where soccer wasn't really a very popular sport in Canada, and we had limited channels where we would be able to watch soccer. And I'll speak for myself. I enjoyed Scottish TV, Scottish football, because one, it was the only soccer I could catch outside of the regular leagues that we have here in Canada, and just the mystique of Celtic and the rest of the teams. We don't want to name that other team in Scotland. We'll keep it with Celtic, and their mystique of being this historic franchise that does so much in Scotland and decorated with so many trophies, right? So for us Canadians, we have also a lot of Scottish people that are here in Canada. So you see the Celtic flag come up every once in a while in the pubs downtown, and when you want to go grab a beer, you're usually in a Scottish pub, and you better be liking one of those Scottish teams, right? So just that history on why it's exciting for me to be on Celtic Fans TV. And also, guys, I would be lying if I would tell you that I did not follow them as much as I possibly could. You guys had the Regina legend Nakamura on your team.
Nakamura, absolutely. What a player.
So myself and a lot of the other admins, as soon as I told them I would be here, they said, you better mention Nakamura. And of course I did. We were just following him and seeing his trek from Serie A to Celtic, and how that progressed, and how he became like almost a cult hero for you guys. It's exciting to be on Celtic TV, and I'm really happy. Thank you.
So that's interesting that you mentioned Nakamura. So was he almost a cult figure in Italian football, despite the fact that he was only playing with Regina? Was he recognised as a great player?
Yeah, he was recognized. Look, if you listen to myself, I'm very critical, and I don't give out the tag of world class. But he was a good player, right? And it was in a time where there was not a lot of Asian infiltration in Serie A, so there was not many that would come over from Asia and actually play in Serie A. But he adapted very well, and he became something of that mythical legend for especially a team like Regina during his time here, right? So a lot of people, especially from the south, really followed him and really wanted him to succeed, and he did succeed, right? He did become a good player that was very useful, and obviously free kick taking was his specialty, and he brought that to Scotland as well. And guys, it's amazing the clash of cultures, and for him to succeed succeed. And you see now how these young guys are coming from all parts of the world and still can't acclimate to either Serie A because of the language, right? So like, someone comes from Japan and comes to the Scottish League in Celtic, there is someone with a heavy accent, but is going to communicate to them in English. In Italy, guys, it's a different story, right? It's very hard. The Italian culture is very heavy on their Italian language. There's a lot of dialects that don't exist so much now, but the Italian is their major language, right? So one of the first things that they have to do when they come over, and I know we're sidetracking here. Sorry about that, Paul, but it's good for everybody to know that they need to learn English. So
yeah. I love that you have an appreciation of Nakamura. That's a real surprise for me, and we love him. He was an absolute bargain for us at £2 million. He went on to be a great player, scored goals in the Champions League for us. He was excellent, and he played for Celtic at a time where I would describe us as a functional team under Gordon Strachan, and he was the cream of the crop for us. He was the best player by a mile, technically so gifted. I want to talk about the weekend. I want to talk about Milan's weekend more than Celtic's, as I'm sure you'll be aware. You guys beat Inter for the first time since 2016. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a long time. It's a very long time, and for Milan fans, we've gone through a decade now of poor results. Right, 2011 was our last championship, our last Serie A Scudetto. And we've made Champions League a couple of years after that, but now we've run into this period where the team has struggled, right? Both on the financial side in the books, and also ownership and the PR and marketing, the whole kit and caboodle. We had everything that could have went wrong with Milan, and a lack of project. Why this win is important for us, Paul, is because we beat our city rivals. That's obvious, and it's something that we like to talk about when we're talking within each other. That we take the derby games out of the season, right? There's two that happen in a season, and they basically. You take those two games out of the season because they're two games that are special in itself. The Derby della Madonnina, what we as fans want the players to do in those games is give everything, leave everything out on the pitch for those 90 plus minutes for both games, because it's bragging rights. It changes the season, and we've seen historically that form doesn't really count for those games, right? The form, you can come in on a winning streak, you can come in on a losing streak. Those 90 minutes usually are special within themselves. And for Milan this time around, we did come in form, right? We've been going on 20 plus games unbeaten since last year and the restart from COVID-19. And, we wanted to continue to ride that train. And a lot of the Milan fans were worried, what was going to happen if we would drop points. And we didn't drop points, and they left everything out on the pitch. So the Milan Twitter has exploded for sure. And we're continuously managing our expectations. We do sit top of the table, but it's very, very early. And, it's not that they were not looking to Celtic and the Thursday's match, but this game was so important for them for so many reasons that with those 3 points, I think now that they can concentrate on Thursday's game against Celtic and take it one game at a time.
Yeah, I watched the game. I watched the derby on Saturday after our game, and I was really impressed with Milan. I thought it started the game really, really well. I thought Leao was really good on the counter-attack. And obviously Ibrahimovic as well. We'll come on to maybe some of the players soon. How is the Europa League viewed by Milan and Milan supporters this season? Is it going to be a huge priority for you guys, or do you sense something of a resurgence in Serie A where you want to focus on the league again and maybe make the Champions League positions?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, Paul. So the Europa League, how is it viewed? For me, I take it in terms of, I look at the squad, how deep are we? That's my first question. So for Serie A and Calcio fans, we know that there's competitions. You have to be competitive, at least in the beginning, on three fronts: the league, whichever European tournament you're on, and the cup, and the League Cup, right? So, are we deep enough to concentrate on all three of them? I would say no. Uh, how do we view the Europa League? For me, Paul, I view the Europa League as it's great experience for the young players that we have to play European nights. It's also great experience for the team to start learning how to play more than once a week. And of course, whether you're in Europa League or you're in Champions League, you're going to be playing more than once a week, right? So the fitness level, the match readiness, is it something that's taxing and will get tiresome near the end of the season? Absolutely, yes. So for me, I view it as, Europa League in the end for Celtic fans, for Milan fans, for all the fans. Look, the money is not the same as the Champions League. That's obvious. Um, for a team like Celtic, you guys are usually always competitive for the league title, but winning the Europa League would be a great feat for Celtic, and it also gives you that guaranteed Champions League spot, right? So, for Milan, it's a different story, right? There's those four spots that we're looking at in the league, and those four spots for Milan, and I don't want to talk for everybody else, I'll talk for myself, that those are priority for me. The league is priority number one, Europa League would be priority number two, and the League Cup would be priority number three. But at a certain point in the season, if you're too far away from those fourth spots, you got to be mindful of Europa League, because if you do well and you do win the Europa League, that's your Champions League spot, right? So I look at it not on a business side, but you got to be smart, right? At a certain point, these players are human. Injuries will happen, and guys, there's a global pandemic going on, right? So at any point in time, someone shows up with COVID, and the game plan has to change, right? So
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to get a gauge on you from you as well. You talked about the good start that Milan have had to the season, top of the table, unbeaten so far. Do you sense a bit of a resurgence on the pitch? I know this is not the Ancelotti Milan, that going deep in the Champions League every year, winning the Champions League and winning Scudettos, but is there a sense of a little bit of a resurgence this season, or is it too early for that?
I think there is something that's going on. I don't know if I would call it a resurgence right now, but Paul, following soccer, and I've been following it for the 20, 30 plus years. There's a little bit of luck that comes into the equation too, right? So I'll give you an example. We decided, we were linked to one of Celtic's center backs. I'm gonna botch his name.
Christopher Aya. Yeah.
And we were linked to so many center backs, right? So we decided not to purchase a center back. So we had some injury, and we had Musacchio injured, Durate injured as well, Romagnoli injured, and we were playing with Kayar, and we were playing with Gabbia, very young central defenders. Now, we walk into the derby there, Paul, and, Gabbia gets COVID-19, but, luck comes into play, and Romagnoli's fit and ready to start. I don't know if that's going to happen all the time, right? And if that wouldn't have happened, we would have to make some changes in the team. We would have, maybe Frank Kessie playing center back, which is not his natural position, and then slotting someone else into the midfield that's not used to playing with those players. And maybe the derby turns out a different result, right? But I think there's something special going on at Milan. I think, the soap opera that we went through with Ragnick, and whether he would be coming to Milan, taking on a dual role or a triple role. He wanted to be everything. He wanted to also be the guy who was in charge of the kitchen. I think that going away, help them, and the players now are more comfortable that there is a project. We are bringing in younger players that do have a humongous upside, and that we know the direction and the continuity of Pioli as coach. And I'm not going to lie to you here. The appointment of Pioli I thought was a band-aid, was going to be something that was going to get us through last season, and then they were going to move on. But he proved me wrong, and he's got the players bought into the system that he wants to play. He seems like he's liked by all the players, and the number one person that he had to be liked by is Zlatan, right? And Zlatan liked him enough, and okay, the money helps too, but liked him enough to come back for another year, and it's been very important. But Paul, that's another big topic, right? Our team is reliant on a 39-year-old striker who, yes, obviously, I'm gonna tell everybody my age. I'm 39 years old. I look nothing like Zlatan. Zero. I look at least 30 to 40 years older than him. He took down a ball on Saturday in the derby, and his leg was probably over my 5'9" body. I have trouble tying my shoelaces. That's the fitness level, right? So, but he's also 39 years old, right? So, will he play this Thursday against Celtic? I don't know. I don't know.
That was one I wanted to ask you about. Zlatan, obviously, huge enigma, superstar, maverick. We all would like to, well, maybe we wouldn't like to see him from a point of view of trying to win the game, but at 39, do you think that he might start on the bench for this one? You guys have a game against Roma on Sunday too, yeah? Is that a big one for you?
Yeah, so the Roma match is a big one as well, because Roma is very competitive in the league as well. They're unbeaten on the field because they did lose a game because they didn't know how to fill out the game sheet and put someone on who was not supposed to be on the game sheet. So they lost 3 points because of that. I'm sorry to any Roma fans who might be also Celtic fans, but I'm gonna just if you've watched Milan Weekly podcast, I say it the way it is. So I hope that they don't overlook the Celtic game and look to the game on the weekend, because I think the Celtic game is important. In terms of Zlatan, whether you'd be starting or not starting, look, it depends on how we want to play Celtic, right? So we've seen Leao up on top as let's say vice Ibra, and do a pretty good job. And I think that that's the direction they can go. Younger guy, he had COVID as well, so he's getting his legs back. And I think it's important for Leao to get those European minutes, and especially at a position that we want him to play. He also looked very comfortable on the left, right? So when we played Inter the Saturday, now that's the manager gets paid the big bucks for that, right? So in my opinion, if I was Pioli and you're asking me the question like that, I think for me against Celtic, and no disrespect to Celtic, I'm keeping Zlatan on the bench, right? Until Celtic proves to me and gives me that warning shot of, hey, we need Zlatan, or else I'm gonna have those 11 players of Milan who might not be starters, but might not all be starters. Excuse me, and show me what you can do on the European stage. Show me what you can do on Thursday in front of everybody, and show me what you can do. Unfortunately, Celtic Park will not be full of fans as it usually is, which is an advantage to Milan, because Celtic Park, is a fantastic ground where the fans are the 12th man, and it's something that changes, right? It changes the aspect of the game. And I need to see these young guys on Thursday play against the Celtic team and give it their all. And we need them to perform so that the older guys like Zlatan could get a rest.
Yeah, I'm not going to be too upset if Zlatan does start on the bench, I have to be honest. Another Milan player who I really like to watch is Hakan Çalhanoğlu. He is injured. Do you think, number one, is he definitely injured? I just seen that rumour quickly today. And who do you expect to take his place? Will it be Brahim Diaz?
Yeah. So Hakan, from what I read this morning, left Milanello on crutches. Never a good sign. They're saying ankle sprain, high ankle sprain. Never a good injury for a footballer. So I would be shocked to see him on the field.
Yeah.
Actually, if I would be anywhere close to the field, I would try to keep him off that field uh, and get him rested for what a high ankle sprain. He's not even 100% sure he'll be able to play against Roma, right? So let's get him rested. And you have the young and talented Brahim Diaz, who is obviously the first my first choice to see take Hakan's place on the pitch against Celtic. And then
Yeah.
again, another young player that we talked about, So we have Leao, we have Brahim Diaz, and we're gonna add the Norwegian kid to Hogue, who I would like to see on Thursday as well, because these are dynamic players who are young and need to get minutes in, so that if people are injured in the league or in the tournament that you're playing in, can contribute and not be someone that you're introducing cold into a match of this magnitude, right? To where it's the first game of the Europa League. Like emotions are going to be high. The players want to play, they want to win. No one takes the pitch to lose, right? So, and imagine we had like a, I think. I think they would still be taking penalty shots now, but we saw the qualifying match against Rio Avenue, where
Yeah.
a small Portuguese team, they brought it to Milan. Milan were either not ready for it or not didn't do enough homework on what Rio Avenue does, and didn't kill the match. And that's something that Milan has suffered with, and we saw it in the derby as well. It's Milan needs to learn how to kill off games quickly, where they can dictate the pace of the game, they can dictate what they want to do, and they can dictate who they bring in and out of the game, so that it doesn't cause any change to the result in the end, where Milan takes the 3 points, right? So
Yeah. I want to try and jog your memory about previous meetings against Celtic. We've had one victory. I think there's been 3 draws and 6 victories for Milan. Our one victory was in 2007 when Scott McDonald scored with the last kick of the ball. Coming into this game, despite the fact that there's no crowd and that Celtic are at a low ebb in terms of form, we are not playing well at the minute. I don't know how much you've seen information from our game against our great rivals at the weekend, but we didn't register a shot on target. So we're not playing well at the minute. Do you think coming to Celtic Park is still viewed as difficult for Milan? Obviously, we had 2 great results against Lazio last season, but that was with fans in attendance. How do you think Milan are estimating the ties against Celtic in this group stage?
yeah, so form in these types of games does play a part, but you're seeing the two extremes, right? You're seeing a Milan team that's riding a wave and continuing on winning, and you see a Celtic team that has struggled, right? So um, it could be flipped. It's all depending on mentality, mentality and the psychological portion of the game that myself and yourself we overlook sometimes, right? Are the guys pissed, or the guys at the Celtic, they don't want to lose, they don't want to be on the newspaper, and I'm pretty sure they've been in the newspaper, did not register a shot, zero. They've been seeing zero everywhere. Uh, Milan without Zlatan, I would say maybe would be a little bit more tentative on this game, and say, what, go in a little bit nervous. But I think he brings that championship winning mentality, that I'm the best. We have to be the best. We need to be
Confidence
top
throughout the
of our
whole team.
game. Yeah. We need to be the top of our game all the time, and he demands that from his teammates, and he's also does that by example, right? So. in the end, it's all about the crowd, right? And it's funny that you invited me on there. It was like something, it's a little small tidbit, but people are gonna say, "Oh, you're lying." No, I'm not lying. I just watched, like something on Celtic right before you had messaged me to have me on.
Yeah.
So I know that they're called the hoops. Like. Celtic Park, and they're talking about the stadium, and then the different moments that Celtic has reigned victorious over their derby with Rangers, right? So, and you see the crowd, and the crowd is the 12th man. Whether you guys are winning, whether you guys are drawn, whether you guys are losing, those people don't stop. Those fans don't stop. And that's something for a young player. Like I'll give you, maybe not Brahim Diaz because he's played at Man City, he's played at Real Madrid. It's a different nervousness, okay? But for someone like Salas Maker, I call him Salchicha Maker. Salchicha in Italian is a sausage, right? So I mispronounce everybody's name, Paul. Don't worry about it. And so a Belgian kid like that who just got his first cap. I don't know if he's ever played at Celtic Park, but Celtic Park with fans and Celtic Park without fans, the TV could filter in all the noise. It's not the same. It's the banners, it's the screaming, it's the yelling, it's the swearing, and it gets to these players, and not having the fans there. First of all, it's sad. It's sad that we got to this in 2020, where there's a limited amount of fans, but without having anybody there, I don't think Celtic Park gives Celtic that advantage anymore. So that 12th man is not there. They're watching from home. They're there in spirit, but they're not as vocal, right? And we see it here in North America with North American football. The fans play a big part of North American football. When you're home at a certain stadium and you're close to the goal line, and there's fans that are generating noise of a jet engine, it's a different feeling, right? And now you're at Celtic Park, you walk on this historic ground that's usually filled to capacity, and there's no one there but the staff that runs the stadium. It's a different feeling, right? So I think for Celtic, unfortunately, and you know what, I'm not even going to take it as a win for Milan. For me, it's a loss to football in itself, of having Celtic play Milan at Celtic Park and having no fans, because it's just sad, right? It's cruel.
Absolutely. It's a real shame that we can't be there on Thursday night. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Before you go, how do you see the game going? Can you give us a prediction for Thursday?
Yeah, so I'd like to see what they come up with in terms of a lineup there, but I know, Milan has come off one of their signature victories in the last 20 some odd games, and this is coming at Inter, city rival, so emotions are high. I think Pioli, being a manager who has experience and having players like Zlatan, Frank Kessie, and the other old guard, we're going to call them old guard at Milan. They're not really that old, but I think they're going to get the young ones ready for this one. And I see Celtic, and like all the other teams, Celtic's going to have a hard time breaking our defense, just because they've been so good, and behind that defense, there's Gigio Donnarumma, who's, a young goalkeeper, plays for the national team. He's not going to be too phased about that. And, the key, though, for Milan is the midfield, and it's always that. And I'm a true believer of that. Your team follows your midfield. And I think depending on who they rest, I think Milan will come out victorious against Celtic on Thursday. I hate making predictions, but I just think that Milan is riding this wave. And look, in the end, I don't see a blowout, but I see a 2-0 Milan win. And I don't see Chelsea. I don't see Celtic not getting any shots on net, because we do give up shots, because we have confidence in the person who's lying behind our defense. But again, the midfield battle will be something that I'd like to see, depending on who you rest, right? So now we see Hakan out, and we see Frank Kessie took a knock as well over the weekend. So without him there, I would like to see that combination. But in the end, for me, and I'm sorry to all the Celtic fans there, I'm just being brutally honest. I see a 2-0 Milan win.
Well, Stevie, thank you again for your time tonight. I've really enjoyed looking ahead to the game with you. Thank you for your insight, and enjoy the game on Thursday.
Paul, thank you, and thank you to all the Celtic fans out there for letting me on your TV or YouTube devices for this opportunity to talk with Paul. Guys, good luck. In the end, it's a football game. We love it as fans. We want to see a good game, and we want to see the best team win. So, good luck to everybody. Stay strong, stay positive. And thank you again for having me on, Paul, and it would be a pleasure to talk football with you whenever you want. You know how to reach me. Guys, if you like Milan by any chance, check out Milan Weekly Podcast. The Twitter handles underneath. We talk Milan, we talk Calcio. Selfish plug on my part, but I love soccer so much that I would talk about it with anybody at any time. So, and I would love one day to come and watch a game at Celtic Park with you guys there and enjoy that atmosphere.